Hello, everyone. Welcome to Here for the Horses. Glad you're here for the horses. We're going to have kind of a fun old school meeting today. Oh, Wanda's here. Excellent. I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about today in a moment. But first, funny video. Let's do it. Here it is. All right. The music on it is half of the funny part and it's not playing. Let's see if we can start it again. It's funny. The little donkeys, man. They're like the funniest animals on the planet. Camels, donkeys, whatever. Flat hand, and these two right there. So cute. It's funny. There we go. They're just cute. Oh, look at that one. Oh, they're cute. Okay, back to business. All right, so today I think what we're going to talk about. I forgot last week. Stephanie had asked. Oh, she's making wreaths again. Stephanie had asked if I would talk about Chester's reaction to the breathwork session that we did, because he had a wild reaction. And listen, I can't prove for sure that it was because of the breathwork, but I don't know what else it would be. Nothing else had changed, okay? Um, so we did the breathwork clinic, and I did have it hold on, that video still going. I did have it recorded and I put it up as a webinar, so I'll put that in the chat if you were not able to attend. It's a free webinar now. You can take a look at it. I did condense it a little bit because we had like question and answer afterward. So if you want to do the breathwork clinic with your horse or the breathwork session with your horse, there's the link right there. I'm gonna certainly do it again with Chester to see if he had the same reaction that he had this last time. Or if if there's a different reaction. I don't know. Because it was pretty wild. But let me see if I can pull up what I what happened. So I'll tell you what happened. We did the breathwork session. I had, for those of you that weren't on it, I had both my horses with me. Okay. And I had Chester obviously had more reaction because that's the nature of who he is. But um Georgia had some reaction. So Chester had a fair amount going on. He kind of hid behind my legs at one point in time. He did some other stuff. So it was interesting. Um, and then 15 minutes later, I my husband came in and he was like, "Do you see what idiot Chester's doing?" And I was like, "What? What?" And he's like, "He's running the fence line." And I thought, well, that's weird because he doesn't run the fence line. They only run the fence line. Chester only runs the fence line when like another horse is gone. You know what I mean? Like that's typical horse stuff. He's gonna run the fence line when there's a horse that he wants to get attention from and it's somewhere else. But he doesn't do it just because. So he was running the fence line back and forth. And what was interesting to me was that he was looking at the house, running, stopping, looking at the house, running, stopping, looking at the house. And he did it like 7 times. So obviously he had done it before then. And that would definitely be something like, oh, the horse, is missing, right? Like Georgia's not somewhere. Well, Georgia was about 10 yards behind him, eating grass calmly. So I thought, well, maybe one of the neighbor horses is acting up. So I went out to see what was going on, and I'm like walking out there, and I'm like, when I get close enough, I said, Chester, what's up, buddy? And he kind of was looking at me, but not really looking at me. And so I got up to him, and he was in a flat sweat, full body sweat, foamy butt cheeks, foamy armpits. He has never sweat that much at my house ever, even like when I was working him, or even when he was like spazzing out when I first got him here. So flat sweat, full foam. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I bring him in, and he's like, okay, right? He's not acting like out of his mind or anything, but he was just full sweat. I still couldn't tell what he was looking at. Once I went out to get him, he was not looking at anything anymore. So I don't know. I don't think he was looking for me. I just think there was some sort of reaction. So that happened about 10 minutes after that breathwork session that I had with him. And so I was kind of hoping that that was going to be like a breakthrough, like we got through a lot of stuff that day. Do you know what I mean? And the next day, I did pick up all four of his feet, and we've been working on that. So that was kind of a big deal, but we've been working on it, and he's been doing really well. So I don't think that was completely related. I don't know. I just trying to down. Oh yeah, you guys can kind of see that, right? So that's how sweaty he was. Okay. I mean, I'm too lazy to work horses that hard. So he sweats a little bit more than Georgia. Just look at, I've never gotten armpit sweat on a horse before. That was exciting. But he has his full body was in a sweat. Yeah, the poor guy looks like I was just working him super hard. There was only like a dry spot on the very top of his body. But he was fine, like no big deal. So I think that that was a pretty serious reaction from the breath work. He has a lot of trauma, a lot of tension. So that was the experience. What I'm going to do, and what I'd probably like to do, is do another breathwork session with Priya and see how he responds. Um, but yeah, that's what happened. It was very interesting. So I told Priya about it, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" So she was really excited. She enjoyed that session a lot. She does not have a lot of experience with horses, but she could tell that there was stuff happening at different times. And what I did for that is I recorded the breathwork session and the gallery separately. So I am able to kind of see the reaction of the different horses. So that was really fun and interesting. And we had a good time with that. So yeah, if you have any questions on that, you can ask me. The link is in the chat there if you want to do the breathwork session with your horse. You could do it with your dog too. Some people had their dog there with them. That's fun. Okay, nuts and bolts here. Today, what we're going to talk about is equine massage strokes. And I just think it's fun to go back to the basics. Sometimes we forget the different strokes that we have available to work with. They have different purposes. They're done differently, and they're really fun. It's fun to do them. We're going to talk about Journey Through the Horse. So, Journey Through the, yay! Journey Through the Horse, if you don't know what it is, it's what we love to do. We take my online clinic, and every week we have homework. You guys love homework, and I love that about you so much. I give homework out to everyone, and I have a group of people I'm helping them build their businesses now, and I'm like, you have to give people homework. They love it, I swear. So homework's good. It keeps everybody kind of motivated to do stuff. You're accountable. You get to submit videos. So anyways, Journey Through the Horse is a span of, it's a couple months where we go through my online clinic for horse owners. Week by week, we have homework from the clinic. So it'll be like 2 or 3 videos. You watch the video, we talk about what the homework is. I tell you to go do it. You go do it. You videotape it if you want to. And then you can submit the videos, and I do voiceovers on the video to give you tips. And sometimes I ask you to do it again. Or sometimes I just leave the voiceover. So if you haven't done Journey Through the Horse, you will certainly want to do it. I think we should do it after the new year because I have a lot coming up. The holidays are going to make it so it's like, oh, it's just going to be crazy. So let's start. I'll kick out a date, but it's going to be in January. Okay? So we ready to rumble in January? So maybe mid-January we'll start. I'm gonna advertise super hard for people who don't know what it is. I felt bad because about like halfway through, people were telling me like, "What's Journey Through the Horse?" And I kind of feel like I shove it down people's throats. So I don't like to do that, but I don't know, maybe people aren't getting the information. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to shove it down everybody's throat again for probably a month just so everybody knows what it is and when we're starting and what it involves. Some people didn't know that they could submit videos, so I felt bad about that too. So mid-January, so start thinking about it. It's going to be fun. We will get started. All of you pretty much have the clinic, so I'm not too worried about that. Although, I'll put the clinic in the chat in case you don't have it, because you can get the clinic and then look through it so you're familiar with it. And then when we go to start the Journey Through the Horse, you will be ready to rumble. Okay, so let me grab that link really quick. Hold on. All right, here it is. Here's the clinic if you need it. Uh, keep the link, but starting Monday, there's 15% off, so don't buy it today. Buy it Monday or Tuesday. It's gonna go through Friday, so don't buy it right now. But you'll get, if you're on my email list, you'll get the link for that and the discount. Okay, so Journey Through the Horse starting mid-January. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be epic, as always. Yeah, so then today we're gonna talk about massage strokes. Are you ready? I'm stealing this from my clinic. So if you ever do a personal in-person clinic with me, the first 45 minutes of it, I talk about what is release, relaxation, enjoyment, and concern. And most of you have my 1 hour video on that where I go into detail, but I want you to know the difference between that. Okay, I want you to know the difference between a release, relaxation, and enjoyment. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. Why do you want to know the difference? Well, if a horse is releasing tension and you just think you can't tell the difference. You think that they're just enjoying it, or you think it's they're just having a good time, or they're relaxing and you don't notice that they're releasing, then you don't know there was tension there. That's the main reason. If they're releasing, it's because they're releasing tension. Okay. And you want to know if your horse had tension. Now, enjoyment and relaxation are just nice to know because one, you always want to know what your horses enjoy, right? Because we always want to make them feel good. We want to have that relationship with them. So enjoyment is, I would like, it's like when you do something nice for a family member, or you know that your best friend loves an ice mocha, so every time you go to see her, you bring her one. Like you bring them enjoyment. You like that. Relaxation is just like, wow, this feels really good. Okay. This feels really good. Now you can use relaxation to your benefit. Okay. Because if your horse is having a hard time and you know how to help them relax, then relaxation is really important. So if you can put them into a state of relaxation from a state of anxiety, that's a big deal. So those of you that show, or if your horse has tension around a horse trailer, well, it'd be kind of nice to go tie him to that horse trailer and give him a massage, wouldn't it? Okay, I had a client that said she had a little oopsie in the cross ties. And what happened is that she busted her head on the side of something, I don't know. She broke her temple bone, some bone around here. I I was actually the one that figured it out because I went to massage her and I went to do my normal face stuff and she was like, and I was like, okay. So I backed off a lot and it didn't get better. Like I wasn't pushing on it, but she was still like overreactive. So remember, I tell you, anytime you go to rub their jaw and they're like that, okay, not liking it is one thing, right? I don't want my face touched. I have tension here. Don't touch me. But when they, okay, that's probably because they have an ulcer because their teeth are bad. It does not happen very often, but anytime there's like a very fast flinch and an eye flinch at the same time, I want you to back off and go in really slow. And if it still happens, there's something wrong. So that's how I figured that out. I told the person, the owner about it, and she called the vet and come to find out she busted her, I think it was the temporal bone. I'm not quite sure, I don't remember. So from that point on, she didn't want to go on the cross ties. And so when I came out, thank goodness, I don't put her in cross ties, but she was having a hard time because they tack them up in cross ties. And so she said, well, I can't get her in the cross tie area now. And I said, oh, okay. And and normally I massage in the stall. And she was like, where are you going? I was like, oh, we're gonna go to the cross ties. Because I'm gonna give her a massage now in the cross ties and done. She didn't have a problem after that. So I just replaced the bad memory with a nice little massage memory. And it was that easy. I mean, and it doesn't always work like that, you guys. I've been working on Chester for over a year. So it's not, I just did a video called It's Not All Butterflies and Rainbows. Okay. So it doesn't work all the time, but it sure doesn't hurt now, does it? Okay. So enjoyment. If you know it makes them feel good, you can use that to your benefit. Okay. So for those of you, I'm gonna just link load you guys today. I call that how I'm really bad at naming things, and I didn't know I was until I got started getting better at it, and then I look back at my stuff and I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. So I need to like rename everything, but I don't know. Add it to the list, I guess. So I call that how horses communicate. So there's the link for that. It's a 1 hour video if you want it. So relaxation. So release is when they actually have tension, and there's a physiological release to that after you've gotten it out. Relaxation is when they enjoy it. It feels good. You put them into a state of relaxation. You're slowing their system. Okay. Enjoyment is when it feels good. So enjoyment is these videos on my page. I don't know if you guys have noticed that the videos that have gone crazy on my page are the ones of the horses acting crazy. Like this is the best, they do all this funny stuff. That's enjoyment. So those are extroverted horses that enjoy it. The introverted ones just like flare a nostril at you. Okay. So their videos are not as exciting and they don't normally go viral. But people love those videos of horses enjoying massage. So that is good to know. And then you guys also know signs of concern and tension, which is in that video if you want to know it. But it's more than ears back and kicking at you, right? And we've talked about that. Some horses only tell you with the slightest movement. So you have to be careful. This weekend, and at the end of this, we'll talk about it. This weekend, I did a talk at my church. They asked me to come in and show equine massage for the fall seminar. And so I said, well, I can certainly do that. And one of the people asked me, like, how often do you get kicked at? And I said, I don't get kicked at. I don't get kicked at. Okay. Because there are 7 signs that the horse is not happy before they kick. Unless they're, what is it, you guys? Young or in pain. That shortens that list a lot. But if it's your run of the mill, it's my horse, I've had him for 5 years, they don't kick unless they are in pain or young horses because they don't regulate their emotions as well. So I don't get kicked at because I pay attention to a lot of body language. That was my answer. Okay. So there's a lot of different signs of tension and concern. So it's really helpful to know those and get really good at being able to tell the difference between them and then using them to your advantage. So here's another example. If your horse is showing a sign of tension or concern in a certain area, but you know that another area gives them enjoyment or relaxation, you're gonna go from one to the other. Okay, it's like an approach and retreat in training, right? You're gonna go to the one they don't like. Oops, don't go too far. Back to relaxation or back to enjoyment. Okay, so use those to your advantage. So let's move on to talking about the strokes and their effects. Okay, the first stroke we're going to talk about is effleurage. Effleurage is Effleurage. Fancy French words. Okay. Effleurage is a flat open hand with long, even, continuous strokes. And it's used for opening and closing massage. Is that what I use it for? No. I do. But effleurage, okay, just think about it. Boom, boom. Think about never not having a hand on the horse. You're always touching the horse, going down their back. Okay? Think about Tai Chi for any of you who do that. Tai Chi is like fluid movements. Okay? What do I use effleurage for? I use it to say hello. Hello. If you don't know me, my name's Erin. I'm going to touch your entire body today. Let me introduce myself. But the main thing that I use it for is gathering information and forming a plan. Okay? That's not really what they taught in school. But to me, I feel like they just accidentally left it out of the program because that's what you're doing when you do effleurage. Your hands are telling you information. You're gathering information. Okay? So when your hands get used to finding tension, you're going to find it with effleurage because if you go too fast, or if you're only using one hand, you're getting half the information. If you go too fast, you're not going to pick up on all the little changes. You're not going to pick up on temperature, right? So every once in a while, I'll have people say, well, I use curry combs instead of my hands. That's fine. You're just missing a bunch of information. You can't feel temperature through a curry comb. You can't. And then, people ask me about gloves. I can't wear gloves when I'm massaging a horse. I can't do it. I don't care how cold it is. I can't do it. I'm missing information. And I don't function well massaging a horse when I don't have information. Okay. So you're missing temperature, you're missing tight skin, you're missing bumps. You know, how many stickers have I pulled out of a horse? I have found crazy stuff on horses. Bumps, okay? Changes in like the skin, just the feeling of it. Okay. So slow, consistent strokes, hand over hand, gathering information, introducing yourself to the horse. It brings them into a state of relaxation too, because any worries they might have had about, like, they're kind of like whenever a horse sees someone new that comes into their stall. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but they kind of, depending on their personality, they'll go, "Who are you? What are you doing?" Or they'll go, "Oh crap. What's this person coming in here for?" Who are they to me? Are they going to poke me with something? Are they going to feed me something? Are they going to put a halter on me and pull me out of here? What's going on? So it's funny to watch the different personalities. But effleurage is a nice way to be like, I'm going to touch your entire body. You can continue on whatever you're doing, but I'm going to figure out where you don't want to be touched, where you're tight, and where you need some work and where you're good. Okay. So I enjoy effleurage for that. It kind of helps you form your plan on what you're going to do. So, I mean, example, if you do effleurage on a horse and the hole from the shoulder forward is pretty darn loose, but from the rib cage back, you better not spend a half an hour from the shoulder forward. If you only have an hour and you know the rib cage back is tight, you better hit 15 minutes on that front and get to the hind end. And then if you have more time at the end, you can go back up. So that's what I mean by a plan. I have I have times I gotta get these horses done in slots. Okay. So if one needs extra, I'll push my day. But in general, I'm gonna figure out what they need and I'm gonna get it done. Okay, so that's your plan. Compression is the next one, compression. And this is rhythmic pumping action with the heel or palm of your hand. I call it knead the dough. Knead the dough. Okay? Knead the dough. Now, I love compression. When I was doing my demonstration this weekend, Georgia was sore on her hind end. It was funny. It was interesting because I didn't know she was sore. I couldn't stay on the one I was trying to teach because I needed to do a different one to get it to loosen up. It was really funny. Like I was trying to like demonstrate one, but I knew I needed to do another, and my brain was like, "No, you must fix this." And so I was like, "Hold on, guys, I need to fix this first, and then I'll talk to you about this other one." It was funny. Um, but it relaxes and spreads compressed, tight muscle tissue. It can also alleviate some spasms. Okay. A lot of stuff can, but this is a really good one for spasms. Anything that's kind of locked like this, okay, you can use compression and you're literally pushing it apart. You push it apart. That's why I say knead the dough. I go in and then I go up. So I'm using this part of my hand as like a hook. Push in and up. And I'm pressing those muscle fibers that are running like this, and I'm making them open. Okay. This works good. Compression works good on bigger muscle groups. It covers more space. It has a bit more impact. I also like it to when there are multiple layers of muscles, like glutes and the neck, you can go through multiple layers. Okay. Because like the glutes, you can't do surface level work and get deep glutes. You have to go through the top layers. On the scapula, not a problem, right? You don't need to go through a bunch of muscle on the scapula. You don't need to go through a bunch of muscle on the rib cage. Okay. But your glutes, hamstrings, neck, chest, you have to go through some muscles. Okay. And then a lot of times the spasms are just muscle bundles that have gotten kind of trapped, like they get trapped and there's some nerve in here somewhere. And so it causes like a spasm. And then when you do compression on you kind of break that trapment up. You just kind of break it up in some direction. Okay. Okay. My next one, percussion. Percussion. Now, this is the one that I find people shy away from. And you can't, you have to get after it. Percussion is one of the best things you can do when it's needed. Okay. So percussion is rhythmic impacts used in rapid succession for a stimulating or anesthetic effect. Okay. Rhythmic impacts, rapid succession, stimulating or anesthetic effect. Percussion goes deeper than other strokes. So I like, um, I'll use percussion for different reasons. Obviously, it has different purposes. Glutes always use percussion. Ribs always use percussion. Not initially, but after you warm them up. And neck always use percussion. It sets muscles free. Okay. So let's talk about the different types of percussion. There's a lot. It's like the different types of snow in Alaska. Okay. There's different types of percussion. So my personal go-to percussion move is a backhanded pound like this. Bam. So this is the part that hits, and I go through, down through the muscle. Okay, this, bam. I add like a little flick to it. So with the flick, it's not as intense. So I kind of start with your medium percussion. Now, if you wanted to do something lighter, you can start with slaps. There's also cups. You can do cups. So that adds like an air aspect to it. It's really interesting. Cupping, it's pretty fun. Slaps. And depending on how you do the slaps, that's either going to be, a harder, flatter hand is going to be more of a percussive, but sloppy hands is going to be more anesthetic. Okay. So the little slappy hands make it sting a little bit more and it kind of deadens those nerve endings. So where do we do the slaps a lot? Where do I say slap it? Slap it, slap it. Yep, the chest. Stephanie just went, ah. Okay, so if you have a what? Girthy horse, you can slap the chest and see if that helps. It helps a lot. Yeah, forehead. Forehead's a good one for like distracting them almost. Distracting them. That's pretty fun. Okay. Another place I always slap is the ribs. Because those ribs don't get loosened up very well without percussion. I won't say they don't get loosened up because you can loosen them up with, remember in the clinic, I show you how to, you start with circles and then you go to rake down and then you go to rake from the front to the back and then you go from the back to the front and then you go from the bottom to the top and then what's the cherry on top? Yep. And when do they start coughing? When do they start breathing out? When you slap. That's when it really loosens them up. Everything else was just telling them to loosen up. The slapping is what really loosens them up. Okay. And this is my favorite part in clinics is that section. When I do a in-person clinic, I make everybody do it at the same time. And then when I have everyone slap, I video it and I say the first horse that blows out, coughs, or, kind of takes a huge breath wins. It's fun. It's just fun. And what's funny is in my last clinic, some horse, like within like two slaps, the horse like blew out. And I was like, oh my gosh, they just won. Sorry, everyone. Normally it's kind of like when you do both sides or at the end of the first one. So it was really funny. I was like, that horse cheated, but it was funny. Okay. So slapping loosens those ribs up. Pounding in the hind end, you're going through the top layer down into the second layers. Now, when I pound for the glutes, remember we talk about being intentional? My intention is I'm going through. Okay. So think about if I don't know why I compare it to this. Maybe because of Karate Kid, the movie. Um, if you're gonna try to punch through like some wood or something, you're not gonna think hit the wood. You're gonna think hit through the wood, right? You're gonna hit through it. So when I'm wanting to go through layers with using percussion and pounding, I'm thinking I want to reach the second layer of muscle. I don't even really mind the first layer. I'm aiming, I'm being intentional to go deeper. Okay. You'd be shocked how much of a difference that makes. So that'll be your homework this weekend. I want you to play with percussion, okay? I want you on the glutes of your horses to only percuss the top layer of muscle. Only the top layer. And then I want you to go to the second layer. Okay? And then I want you to see if you can go to the third layer. Now, when would you like to stop doing that or back off? When the horse steps out and says, "That's enough, Nancy." Okay? That's enough, Gloria. It's too much, right? So you want to experiment. And do they like it? I think people get nervous that their horse isn't going to understand that that feels good. I'm telling you guys, they like it. They like it a lot. Okay? So play around with percussion. Um, you can also do forehand like this. It depends on your height and your horse's height, what's easier. Okay. Like this on a really tall horse is difficult, right? You got to kind of crank your hand. So with a really tall horse, I go here or here. Do you know what I never do? Chopsticks. Why? Because I don't need to rake my knuckles together. It doesn't feel good. So this is something you see in Hollywood is a movie. This is not real life. This does not feel good. Don't do it. Okay. So you can do backhand, forehand, pound like this. There's something called tapotment. That's with your fingertips. Okay. Slapping, cupping. There's probably a couple more. Okay. So play around with that. For the neck, you can pound harder toward the scapula, I would say halfway down the neck toward the scapula. You can pound pretty hard there. When you're going up toward the pole, back off a little bit. So I normally go from my normal backhanded kind of slap pound. When I hit about mid neck, I kind of switch to a flat hand. Don't don't do this up by their pole. Although some horses like it, so you can experiment, but if they're like, doing that, they don't like it. Okay. So just kind of play around with that a little bit. And let me know in the coaching community group what you found out, what you figured out. What'd you find out? Okay. All right, deep or direct pressure. Deep or direct pressure. Pressing directly on a spot for 15 to 45 seconds using your fingers or your thumbs. And this breaks up knots and interferes with muscle spasms. These direct pressure is also used with trigger points and stress points. Okay, trigger points are a knot that has a nerve ending close or in it that refers pain. It's a trigger point. A stress point is the same thing, but closer to the muscular tendinous junction. Okay, it's the same thing. Anyone know which one's more dangerous? Stress points or trigger points?
I'm going to guess stress.
Stress points.
It triggers, we see that it talks
Yeah.
to stress probably doesn't. I've never heard.
So, yeah, so stress points. There is a fantastic book by, oh my gosh, Mayer, but it's spelt weird. It's like an old spiral book, and it's about stress points. It's awesome. And it's written on a typewriter, you guys. It's like the type of book that makes me so happy because it's so direct and to the point. Like there's no fluff. It's like, this is this, this is this. It's so awesome. He is kind of the founder of stress point therapy. And ooh, let me see if I have it in here. Hold on. Uh, no, I don't. Dang. Um, John Mayer? No, that's a singer. Bear? Oh gosh, I'll have to put it up on my thing. It's a really good book if you're interested. It's been out of print for a long time. But he says that stress points, he kind of compares like why do some horses get injured? If there's 10 horses running and some of them get injured and some of them don't. Why? If 10 horses run down a hill, one of them gets injured but the rest don't. Why? And he says that when stress points, because they're closer to the muscular tendinous junction, are present, then they're more likely to get injured because of the stress points. So he has a whole stress point therapy. And he has multiple points, like he has diagrams on the different points in the area, and that's really fun to do. We should totally do either maybe a couple weeks on that, maybe like we did with the other book. Let me look it up real quick and see if I can see horses. Oh yeah, and then Jessica Limpkin took it over, actually. What's her name? Oh, here's the chart. Oh, Jack Meager. Yeah, I was off. Don't ever listen to me when it comes to remembering names. Jack Meager. Hold on, let me share this with you. This is the exact chart. Don't ever listen to me when it comes to remembering a name. So bad. Okay, here's the chart, you guys. It's really cool. So he has found that you can check all these points on horses, and you can see if they respond. So if you check these points and they flinch and have a negative response, then you can you can do the direct pressure on it, release that point, and then you're good to go. So it's pretty cool. Well, we should do it. We should do a day on that, I think. We should definitely do a day on that. Yeah, I think so. That'll be a good one. Okay. So anyways, sorry, I got distracted there. So in school, they teach hold it for 30 to 45 seconds. Okay. I have not found that that's accurate, I guess I would say. It is accurate. It's good to hold it, but I've found that 15 seconds is good enough. And it's not super comfortable, so the less I can, make them uncomfortable, the better I feel. So I hold it for 15 seconds and then I let it up and then I rub it and then I check my work. We always check our work. Okay, so this is how I describe it. Sliding filament theory, boop, boop, boop. Muscles slide like this. Okay, it's a pretty cool theory. We've talked about it before. Oops, but then there's a knot. This part over here still slides, but this part doesn't. Okay. So then you come along with your finger and you press and you squeeze that knot out and you flatten it. Okay. And you hold it. You can't just press it because it resists. You got to hold it for 15 seconds is what I say. And then you bring new blood into it, and then it slides again. Okay? That is the whole plan for direct pressure. So trigger points, stress points. Yeah, Jennifer.
How do you check your work on that?
So you find the trigger points and the stress points by the reaction of the horse. So if you have gotten the knot out or the stress point or the trigger point, they should not have a reaction after that.
Oh, okay. Get it. Yeah, thanks.
Sometimes you can feel trigger points and not. I mean, you can definitely feel knots, but sometimes you can't feel stress points or trigger points. You can't feel them. So you have to go off of the reaction of the horse. You'll see those a lot along the rib cage, the top of the rib cage, right, you guys? I found one on a weird spot the other day, though. It was strange. I was like, I don't think I've ever found a trigger point here before. Okay. So that's direct pressure. It doesn't feel great for the horse, so the faster and more efficient you can get at it, the better. They deal with it, but they normally hold their breath. Okay. So when horses hold their breath, I know it doesn't feel great. Okay. All right, the next one. Stephanie's just working away. Just things are flying. I know they're gorgeous. I was looking at them the other day. They're so cool. You're so talented. Um, all right, direct pressure. Cross fiber friction. Cross fiber friction. Applying rubbing or pressure across the muscle fibers or the knot. Loosens tight fibers. Okay. Cross fiber friction. Now, the important thing with cross fiber friction, well, I wouldn't say it's the important thing, but it's cross fiber friction. I guess you kind of have to know what direction the muscle goes in, right? So this is kind of the stroke that does require you to know what muscle you're on and which direction it goes. Does the stroke not work if you don't know? No, it still works. But you don't know if you're doing cross fiber friction or linear friction. Okay. So cross fiber, it reminds me of this. You're looking at muscle bundles going this direction. I say get your rakes out. Get your rakes out. I'm going to take my rake and I'm going to go, I like to go up and then rake down. Up and then rake down. And if I have to, I'll take my thumb and I'll rake up. So guitar strings, right? Rake, rake, down. And then you can take your thumbs and you can rake up, or you can do the other one that loosens up compressed muscles, right? Okay. So cross fiber is against the muscles. Okay. Linear friction is with the muscles. Okay. So I like this one. I like this one too. When do I use which one? Cross fiber, I normally use it for bigger muscles. I feel like cross fiber, ooh, is more broad. And I feel like linear friction is more direct. I guess that can vary a little bit. Okay, but linear friction, you're going to go here. For linear friction, I'm normally using my thumb. Okay, and I'm going here and I'm spreading them. It's hard to do like this. I'm spreading the muscles like that. That's why I say it's more direct. Okay, because cross fiber, you're hitting like all of them. You're just trying to spread them all out. Linear friction, I'm trying to spread one section out at a time. So I got that section, then I come up here and I spread that section. Then I come down here and I spread that section. Okay, so I'm going to go linear, linear. There's also more of like a squishing down, like you squish down and it opens the fibers up. Where cross fiber, you're kind of you're pulling them apart. You're pulling them apart. This one, you're kind of squishing them apart. Does that make sense? Okay. I like both. I use linear friction the most on the rhomboids, on the neck. I always use it on the scapula. Okay. That is by far the best method to loosen up the infraspinatus and supraspinatus. I always use it on the legs. And I always use it on the hamstrings. Oh, and the TFL. Now, I told you I almost always use my thumb. Well, with the TFL and the hamstrings, I use the back of my fist like this. Okay? Because the hamstring, I'm looking at the horse's butt. Here's the tail. Here's the butt. Here's the hamstrings. I'm going to press down like this to go down the back of that leg. I'm going with the hamstring. What's the move where I'm doing cross fiber friction? This one. All right. Start at the tail, work your way down. Pointed buttock pull. Okay. TFL, the TFL is kind of it's in a little different direction. It's kind of like that, but I still press in and press down. Press in, press down. That's from the point of hip to the hip joint to the stifle. That's that area, the triangle area. Press in, press down. That I would call that linear friction, although it'd be more like that, but whatever. Okay. Petrissage is next. Petrissage, petrissage. In school they said it's like you're petting your dog, but I don't like that. It's not like you're petting your dog because petrissage is a firm kneading or squeezing of the muscle. I mean, I guess you could pet your dog like that, but that didn't help me remember the proper definition. A firm kneading or squeezing of the muscle. Opens and relaxes the muscles, improves circulation, and loosens fascia and knotted tissue. Okay. So petrissage, you can do it on your shoulder right here. Right there. That's petrissage. So couple keys about petrissage, you have to be able to get your hand around the muscle. So you're not doing petrissage on the glutes, are you? Not going to happen. You know what a good one for petrissage is? Is the brachiocephalicus. You guys know you can grab that muscle and kind of all the way up? Yeah, grab it. That's what I do. Another great one for petrissage is down the legs. Absolutely. That's the best. Yeah, armpit. Yeah, there you go. 100%, Stephanie. I forgot about that. So pectorals. What do I always tell you guys to do with those pectorals? You can either pick their leg up. Yeah, pick their leg up or not. Get your hand in there and grab that freaking pectoral and squeeze it. Okay? And you're gonna, if they have a knot in there, it's gonna feel like a grape. And then what do you do to that grape? Crush it. Yeah. And then your horse gets to move their legs freely after that. And they're like, geez, Louise, you can solve a lot of those girthy issues too. Okay. I would probably slap them before you did that. Not across the face, on the pecs. Okay. Get a little anesthesia in there. Okay. You can do some petrissage on the tail, can't you? So remember the tail when we start? We kind of, hello, hello. That's effleurage on the tail, right? Effleurage the tail. And then what's your second move? Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. That is petrissage. Okay? Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Do you guys, when you're working on those tails, you'll feel that kink, kink, kink as it's loosening that up. Some of those tails are formed like that. All of a sudden, they're starting to straighten out after you get done doing that because all that got pulled tight like this. And then you come along and you squeeze it and you tell it to loosen up and it straightens out the tail. Okay. So I like that on the legs, the brachio. You can do petrissage on the pole. That's nice. Base of the ears, tail. Okay. So there you go. So we have homework, percussion. I want you to play around with percussion. I want you to play with the different types. So I want you to play with slapping. I want you to play with pounding and the different types of pounding. So cupping, figure out what your move is. And it does depend on your height and the size of your horse, you know. Slapping. Tapotment, this one's interesting. You can try that on their face and stuff. Okay. So percussion, I want you to play around with. I want you to do a little petrissage. I want you to petrissage the tail. The tail. Start with effleurage. Warm them up. Those of you guys that are freezing with weather already, don't do this with cold hands. It's not nice. Make sure your hands are warm. And then do some petrissage on the tail. You can do literally kind of an entire massage with just effleurage. Some horses dig that. They dig it. I feel like it does not. Obviously, there are a lot of different massage strokes for reasons because, effleurage is not loosening up deep muscles, deep gluteal muscles. You know what I mean? So different strokes for different situations. But you could try doing 10 minutes of effleurage. I bet your horse would dig it. Okay. So play around with those. Yeah. And those of you that have muscle charts, you can play around with cross fiber or linear friction. I think cross fiber we're really good at. Linear friction we don't do as often. So play around a little bit with linear friction and see what that feels like. See what you notice with that one. Okay? Here's your homework. Do we have any questions? I like reviewing stuff like this because we get kind of stuck doing our own thing, right? Okay. So there's your homework. Yeah, Stephanie.
And I think it's really good for you to go back over this because, like, when I first started a year ago, like, I didn't understand, it was overload. And
Yeah.
after you play for a while, I think I pick up on a little bit more each time. So I appreciate you reviewing and going over different things. So
Yeah. Most of you guys have been with me so long, I kind of assume that this stuff is boring to you. So, it's like I'm always trying to give you new stuff, but like I need review. So, it's important. Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. I'm glad. Um, I was going to tell you about my uh class that I did. So the reason I thought of this was because this Saturday they had a seminar thing at my church, and they asked me to do equine massage demonstration, just showing different jobs that women have. But I'm not going to just do an equine massage clinic. I am going to compare it to different things that I've learned through my life. So I took all of these that we just went over and I compared them to how God moves through our lives and works with us and talks with us and walks alongside us. So I compared Bible verses and stories to each one of these. So effleurage, like coming alongside you, There's some percussion that occurs if you've been around a while. That's the one that always gets my attention. So I have a recording for that I'll let those of you that want to see it. I did record it. It was so fun, and it was just an awesome experience, and it made me think about things that I probably haven't thought about. So it was fun. But when you show up to a party with a horse, you're always a fan favorite. So
Mhm,
I had a horse in my parking lot of my church. It was awesome.
mhm,
It was fun.
mhm.
All right, guys. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll post it for you guys. I'll post it. It'll be fun. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. There's your homework. If you have any questions or anything cool that happens, let me know.
Great.
Okay, put it in the group. All right, talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Erin.
Yes, you're welcome. Bye-bye.